Well, Zane, thank you so much for jumping on today. Guys, Zane is the founder of Emperor Apparel. And man, I'm just so stoked to be connecting with you here today.
I'm stoked to be here, mate. I'm stoked to be talking to you again. We jumped on those calls a little while back and we were talking about it. So it's good to be finally getting this podcast to go together.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So Zane and I met at a business training event in Sydney. What was it, last year, I'm guessing? Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year.
And Zane has this incredible company that he's built. It's going global. It is global. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. We're doing online sales worldwide at the moment. So
beautiful. Zane was just telling me that he's upgrading his office space and his warehouse, and he's got huge things happening. So Zane is just an awesome, all-around, a genuine guy. That's what I'd call you, Zane. I'd say you're absolute.
Thank you, man.
And I really believe the way you show up reflects through your brand. You've got such a high quality. I was just flicking through your website before I came on here, actually.
Yeah.
Beautiful quality about everything you do, the images, the feel. And I just, that comes from your heart. I think you're just so genuine, and it reflects, in everything you do. So thanks for the way you show up, brother. It's awesome.
Thank you. That's very nice. That's very nice intro. I love that. It means a lot to me.
So Zane, you used to be an electrician. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. I started off, my first job was working in retail when I was about 15. I was like right into surfing, absolutely loved it. Started working in surf shops, and absolutely loved retail, loved clothes, loved everything about surfing, everything about clothing. So I think that's where my passion for fashion started.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was kind of wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to go in. I knew I didn't have enough money and enough funding behind me or capital to start a clothing brand back then.
Yep.
So I sort of drifted into a trade apprenticeship. So I started my electrical apprenticeship when I was about 19.
Yes.
And then from there, worked as an electrician for about 6 years. Did everything from domestic work to commercial work. And then I was foreman on a big site in the city. We were doing a big shopping center. And then it was sort of there that I was like, nothing against the trade. It was it was so good for me in so many different ways. It allowed me to save money for the brand. It taught me a lot about leadership, what to do, how to lead, how not to lead. Working under different foremans and working for different bosses. It was really easy to identify what leadership strategies worked and what ones didn't.
Yes.
What leadership strategies motivated people, what strategies were bullying people. And, it was really easy to see what worked and what didn't. So even though it wasn't in the fashion trade or it wasn't in the retail industry, it taught me so much about leadership. So I'm very, very grateful for those years that I spent on those trade sites because it taught me a lot.
That's so cool, man. And so talk us through those early days of when you started transitioning, because this is a huge thing for people. They're doing one thing right now. They have a goal, they have a dream that they're going after, but it's stepping into the unknown. So how did you do that? What did that look like for you? Was it gradual or was it just constant action? Talk us through that.
Yeah, it wasn't actually gradual. With me, from the first day I stepped onto site, I was like, this is not me forever.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I can't do this. But I was like, I'll get it behind me and it'll come in handy and it'll be a means to an end. And my mum and dad, I'd come home and I'm like, I can't do this. I don't like this. It doesn't interest me. I don't want to do it. And they were always like, well, look, at the moment, you don't 100% know what you want to do. So the trade is like a means to an end.
Yes.
Use it, learn from it, save money, and then use that money and put it towards whatever you want to do. So I kind of knew from the first day it wasn't me. But then as I sort of progressed through, I got my license. I became qualified. And then I was kind of like, okay, I can save more money now because you're getting qualified wages. So that was really good. I was just saving all of my money. And then it was funny. I was really unhappy. I hated going to work. I hated getting up in the morning. I really, really disliked it because I felt like I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I felt like I could give more and do more. And I was becoming a completely different person. I like to pride myself on being energetic and happy and positive. And I like pushing people in a positive way and getting the best out of people. And I really noticed on those trade sites that I was like, I wasn't me anymore. I was sort of like grumpy. I was sharp. I was not aggressive, but I'd probably just handle things differently to what I do now.
Wow. What do you think that was, out of curiosity?
I think it was just...
Is it the culture?
On trade sites, there is a bit of... They're not the most positive workplaces.
Yeah, man.
You've got a lot of macho personalities, a lot of ego, especially on the big construction sites. For me, it was like a hierarchy system. It was like being in prison. Everyone sat at the lunch table in their seats. You weren't allowed to sit in anyone else's seats. It was like, you sit down at lunch table, that's your spot. The people around you are on your table. And I was like, man, this just feels whack. Like, I felt boxed in, and I felt like a bit of a caged animal. And I think from doing that and knowing I wanted to do more, it was more frustration. And I was like, I don't want to take that frustration out on people on this site or people that work with me, because I actually really loved the people that I worked with. It was just the job itself I didn't really enjoy.
Yep.
So I think it was just a matter of me not really feeling like I was out of place, and I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So my personality changed a little bit. But then it was funny because I went on a trip to Europe, and I did a lot of traveling around there. We went to a bunch of different places. And then there was one particular night we were in Mykonos, and we were like down where the mega yachts were. There was like the Victoria's Secret mega yacht that was just parked way out the back. It was like a hotel on the water. Then there was a whole bunch of other ones. And I was standing there, and it was like midnight, and there was all these people like sitting on their yachts, and they were chilling and partying. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, what I'm doing now is just not going to get me where I want to be. Like, I want one of those yachts. I want to be able to come here whenever I want, not just on a month break that I have to plan 2 years in advance to get that annual leave. I'm like, I want to just be able to get on a yacht and come here when I want and work from here and network and have friends all over the world. And it was literally in that moment, I was like, I'm good. I'm just going to do the clothing brand now. I'm going to put everything into it. When I get home, I'm going to fly back, and I'm going to just take action. And then, so I went back, I was working my normal job, doing 7 till 3:30, 7 till 5:30. I would come home from the city. It was about an hour commute from the city to where I was living. And I would literally work from like 7:30 till about 1 at night, designing, speaking to manufacturers, sourcing materials, designing, getting samples, and made all my alterations, contacted all of everyone at night till about 1 o'clock. Then I started to burn out because it was unsustainable. And I just sort of hit a point. I'm like, right, when I released it, sorry, I'm going right round in circles here, but
that's awesome.
When I finally decided to release the collection, I started selling online, and I'm like, right, when I've got enough that I can sort of live on, I'll quit and I'll put everything into it. Because I realized when I was trying to balance the 2 jobs, it was too hard to do both. And I was making mistakes because I was up late at night, wasn't really being clear with the manufacturers. So there'd be little errors here and there. And I was like, right, I just want to put all of my energy into it and do this and do it right. And I just went for it. And I quit my job, which was massive at the time. And everyone was telling me I was crazy. Like, you've got this great job. It's easy money. It's like, it's secure. You can get a house loan. You can buy whatever cars you want, and you don't have to worry about the financial stress of running your own business. Like, what do you want to do that for? Why do you want to go out on your own? And I was like, it's just not me. It's not what I want to do. Not what I'm passionate about. And so, I quit. And then from there, I just worked on Emperor Apparel full time.
Wow. Such a cool story, man. Such a cool story. I absolutely love it. And I love how you got that vision.
It was a slow transition, sort of slow a little bit, but I just wanted to jump straight into it because it's what excited me. Yeah.
And I love how I think it's the first sentence of of a blog you've written, you're like, Emperor Apparel was born out of frustration. Yeah. And it's good, man. Like, discomfort and dissatisfaction can be a huge driver for people. And so, and it's good you had the awareness that was actually something you wanted. And then secondly, you allowed yourself to go after it, which is awesome. Because some people have these goals and ambitions, but they don't give themselves the opportunity to go after it. So Let's talk into that for a second. So, like, how did you go developing the confidence and the belief? Because, like, you pretty much had to take on a whole new identity. So,
Yeah.
how did you, like, did you just like have the belief in yourself, or was it just natural for you, or what? Talk us through that.
Yeah, I think it's really weird because like my mum and dad bring this up all the time because they always talk about when I came back, I stood in front of them and I was like, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start my clothing label and I'm going to do it full time and I'm going to stop Culture Kings and Neverland Store and I'm going to sell online.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? Like, what do you know about fashion? Like, what do you, they weren't doubting me, but they were just a bit like, oh, okay, right. And they were like, how are you going to do that? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm just going to make it work. I'll find a way. And I always had this confident, like this strange, like, cause I'm not an overly confident person. It took me a long, long time to build up self-confidence and confidence in myself and belief in myself. It took me till I was like 27, 28, honestly, before I started to truly believe in myself.
Wow.
And I think what you were talking about before, that level of discomfort and frustration, it was like, it was years of going, I can do more, I should be doing more. And then I was like, bang, I'm ready to do more. I'm ready to pursue what I actually want to pursue. And I had this wave of confidence. And it was like, you can do this, you'll find a way, and you'll always find a way to make it work. The main thing is just to start and find your feet. And then from there, you can always make it work because whatever pops up, you just, okay, we'll work out what to do here. Yep. Manufacturer goes broke, we'll find a new one. Or, you know, like I just had this confidence that I knew I didn't want to be a tradesman. So I was going to make this work so I didn't have to go back. Like that for me, it was like this added motivation. And it's not like me ripping on the trade. It was just like, this is what I want to do. So I'll make it work and I'll do whatever I have to. Yeah.
Again, amazing awareness, man. And being honest with yourself is just so key. And like, I see so many people, they are just settling for a life that's not actually true to them. It doesn't inspire them. And like you said, they're getting all those things. So they're getting the house, or they're getting the job, they're getting the house, they're getting the car, and they get all these things. And then eventually they hit a point and they're like, is this all there is?
Yeah.
And it's such a sad place to see people in. And then they start turning to external things to fill them. That's where, you know, a lot of addiction can come in and a lot of very toxic habits, a lot of toxic relationships. So it's so cool, man. Like, again, that's one of the reasons I wanted to chat to you, is because you've had this dream, you've had this vision, and you've gone after it. You've been relentless. And I see the way you show up on social media. Again, you've got this awesome energy. You show up with absolute enthusiasm in everything you do. And it's truly inspiring, man, because again, there are so many people out there just, you know, they're just settling for so much less than they're capable of. So
it kills me that. And like I was talking about it with a group of mates last night, like we were just like, if people just would pursue what they wanted to pursue. And I know it's not just that easy. People have commitments, they've got mortgages, they've got kids, they've got whatever it is. They might have bad debt, or they need to work to pay the rent, or, you know, there's all of these different things that come into it. So I hate it when you see those like online entrepreneur coaches that are like, just go for it, just do it. And it's like, some people can't. Like, you've got to be realistic about it. Like, not everyone can just leave their job and just go for it and be like, I want to start my business. There's like stages and steps you've got to take, and they're different for everybody. But I was just like, it would be awesome if those people that weren't happy with what they're doing would just, instead of watching TV or watching Netflix or scrolling Facebook or Instagram, if they just shut that off and wrote down what they wanted to do, or even just started working towards what they wanted to do 3 hours a night, whatever, after work, 2 hours a night, and just explored that, they would realize that they could probably switch and transition and do it, but they just don't. I think a lot of people wallow in like this self-pity, or maybe they don't have that self-belief, or they don't have that motivation, and they just think they can't do it. But there's so many people that could. If you don't like what you're doing, pursue what you want to do. If you want to shape surfboards, get a blank, start shaping surfboards in your garage on the weekend. See if you even like it. Because sometimes you might think that's your passion, then you go, do you know what? I actually like doing my other job, and I'd like to keep that as a passion, and I don't want to make that a business because it takes the fun out of it. But I think, if people just gave themselves time So like you said on that phone call, like the power of writing stuff down. Like when we spoke on the phone that day, you were like, have you written down your purpose? Have you written down your business's, what was it, core values?
Yeah.
And I was like, how, and that made such a big difference, because now with all the presentations we send people, whether it's the warehouses, whether it's new people we're taking on, they've got those core values there. And that was like a small thing I missed with conveying that to people. And I think if other people wrote down what they're passionate about, because a lot of people are lost and they don't even know what they want to do, like I used to be. And I never allowed myself that time until I sort of became like frustrated.
That's awesome, man. Great insights, brother. Great insights. Okay, so let's actually talk about your brand, because I would imagine I know nothing about fashion. Don't judge me. But I know, man. So how did you break into the fashion industry? I imagine that would be, or break in, I'll say position yourself in the fashion industry. How did you tap into a market? And like, I can only imagine. Talk us through that, brother. Talk us through, you had this dream, you had this vision, you started taking action, but then how do you actually, position yourself in that market and begin standing apart so people come to you versus those mega brands that are out there?
Yeah, it is. It's like really, really competitive. So for me, the point of difference was I basically created a product that wasn't available on the market at the time, or it was very unique to the other products. So the fabric I used was completely different. It was like custom weave. So it's completely different to what other clothing labels use. So at the time that really stood out, and it still does now, as like a much, much premium product, much more high quality. So when it was in stores, people could physically feel the difference. They would put it on because it was a custom fit. Guys preferred the fit because at the time there was like box cut t-shirts. They were made out of like cheap cotton. It was really, really fast, crappy quality, basically. Not all the brands, but a lot of the brands that were here in Australia that people were hyping over, they didn't really fit athletic body types. They didn't fit guys like me at the time that was super tall and skinny, like nothing fitted right. And then my mates would be talking about, oh, it'd be good if, t-shirts actually fit like this. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, okay. And from also working, even back in the day when I was younger, working in retail, we'd have customers coming in, I'm not paying $50 for this crap. Like, how do these surf brands get away with that? Like, they couldn't justify it then. So I was like, right, for people to get passionate about a brand and get behind it and have repeat customers, they've got to feel like they're investing in quality. So for me, it was about creating not just a t-shirt, but like a premium one. Good quality, the fit was gold, and it had unique detailing, and it really stood out. And when it was in stores, all of the products stood out because it was very different. So I think for me, in short, it was just about having a point of difference in the quality and the design, the fit, and the styling. And then it stood out, and it stood out online. With the marketing side of things, I was always really, really hard on, we have to make it premium. I'm a startup brand, but I want the campaigns to look like a Gucci ad. So I started working with this photographer that was like way over my budget at the time, but he liked the product. So he's like, look, I'll do it at a discounted rate for you because I dig it and I love the ideas. And I would always come to him with like Prada and Gucci ads and like Louis Vuitton stuff where, they'd probably spent $20,000 on that photo shoot getting all the lighting right. But I was like, we have to make it work. We have to do something similar. So I think the marketing material that we used stood out a lot as well. So it sort of came onto the scene online with like a big pop because it looked way bigger than it was, because I'd invested in, premium marketing, premium product. And I'm like, people like it and it looks good. They'll hopefully embrace it. And they did. And it started growing from there.
Man, I love it. That's such a good strategy too.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about this. I'm going completely off my notes here, man, but
that's okay.
I'm just sharing some
Let's
awesome
go rogue.
insights.
I love it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah. So people, I hear this belief with people sometimes, and I would love for you to speak to it because you've really tapped into this and you've really, overcome this. People have a gift, be it a musical gift, be it a speaking gift, and they resist putting content out on social media, essentially.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be showy.
Yeah.
I hear this, you know, and I think it's got a lot to do with that tall poppy syndrome thing that's in Australia.
Huge.
Man. And so can you talk to the importance of if you've got something to offer the world, you know, how important is it just to put that out there? I just want people to hear it come from you, a guy who's built such a great little brand, and, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important. And I know everyone I speak to, they're so deterred by putting stuff on social media because they're so worried about what people are going to say or what's going to pop up in the comments section, or, oh, he thinks he's so good because he's posting a picture, or he's doing a story and he's actually got the video on and he's speaking. Like, who has the confidence to do that? Like, they perceive it as people are going to think I'm arrogant or overconfident. And the truth is, like, most people don't. Like, a lot of people are very interested in what other people are doing. And especially if it's singing, or they've got a talent, or even if they've just got great things to say or advice on things, it's so important for people to just showcase that, because they don't realize how many people will actually embrace them for it. There's way more people that will like it than hate it. And the people that hate it are not worth worrying about, because they're just unhappy. They're unhappy with their self, their situation. They're probably unhappy with the fact that they don't have the confidence to do that themselves. So it doesn't matter. You can't be deterred by that. I'll put YouTube videos up where they had, you know, 12 comments that were hate, and they were talking about this and that. But then there was also all these other people that added me on Instagram after it that were like, hey, I'm interested in your story, or that were much more positive about it. But a lot of people focus on those 12 negative comments, and I'll never make a video again. But I think it is daunting at the start. I used to hate it. I was always scared. And still now, sometimes when I do some stories, like, I'll be like, oh, okay. It still puts me off, or I'm like, does that come across too arrogant, or does that come across, because I am worried about people's perception. But you've got to just drop that, you know, and just start putting yourself out there, because you'll benefit from it incredibly. And it opens up your network so much, and you never know who you're going to meet. Like, some of the best contacts I've met are just from someone seeing a story or a video or something that I didn't even think was that, like, wasn't that good. Like, this video I put up not like a while ago when I was living in Sydney, it was just about people taking action and starting. And I just sort of uploaded it thinking, oh yeah, whatever. And then I was at like a party not long ago, and a guy came up and he's like, man, I saw that video and it just like snapped me into action, and now I've got my own business. And, you know, and you think, you know, your videos that you make, or that one video that someone puts up, could make a difference in someone's life. And like, if you're a person that wants to influence people or get the best out of people, you know, you've got to put content out there, and you've got to put yourself out there. It'll be uncomfortable, but it's so important. Yeah,
man. Yeah. And I don't believe our gifts are, you know, for us to keep. They're there to share.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise they're not a gift, are they? You know?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thanks for speaking into that. I just really wanted to hear it from coming from you, because again, I see people, just caging their potential. So that's awesome, brother.
It's the worst thing to see is people caging that potential.
Oh,
it's
man.
Horrible.
Absolutely. So let's talk about developing yourself as a business, because obviously we met at a business event, and how important has been developing yourself as an individual been for your business growth?
I think it's the most important thing out of anything when it comes to business, is like developing yourself, like investing in yourself, being aware of yourself, your thoughts, your patterns, your beliefs on things. Like, it is the most important thing. And like, you are your business. You're what's driving it. You're going to have to work with different people. You're going to have to do so many different things. And if you're not aware of yourself and the way you process things and the way you think about things and your outlook, are you positive? Are you negative? And the other thing is, like, my thing at the start was ego. I don't know why, but I had this thing where I was like, I don't need help, or I want to do it all myself, and I want to do it my way and do it this particular way. And and I probably pushed out people that were trying to help because of my ego. And as soon as I dropped that, things got so much better. Like one of the main things I always talk about is influencer marketing at the start. I'm so annoyed that I didn't capitalize on that earlier on, because I saw it as people going, and it was the way they were contacting us as well. They were just sort of like, give us some free stuff and I'll promote it. And I was like, no, you know, I don't want to give you free stuff. I don't know who you are or what you can do. And you probably got fake followers and everything like that. So for me, ego was massive. Once I learned to deal with that and identify that that was me acting that way was my ego, that was good. And when I let that go, you know, it was incredible with being able to connect with people and try new strategies and taking other advice. So yeah, I think your personal development is the most important thing.
Yep.
Out of anything.
Yep. Excellent. That's so cool, man. And so talk us through some of your daily habits. Like what are some of the things you've started doing that you just will not miss now?
What the morning routine is the most important, and that's what we went through. And that completely sets me up for the day, whether I have a good day or a bad day or a really productive day or a really unproductive day, or whether I'm stressed or not stressed. So that getting up in the morning earlier, giving myself time to like wind up and do the meditation, plan my day properly, staying off social media and my phone as soon as I get up. That is like something that I think is the worst thing to do. Like when people wake up and they've got their phone and they're scrolling through it, because you're starting your day on the defense, and like incredible amounts of anxiety and stress and frustration just from the moment you wake up. So my thing is like definitely staying away from social media, meditation in the morning, and giving myself time to like time for myself, where you know, either it's reading or I'll watch a YouTube video, I'll watch an interview, I'll watch a motivational thing, something really, really positive. I stay away from the news. I stay away from those morning TV shows where they're talking about someone dying or a house fire or a car crash, or the Monash freeway's got 6 cars stacked up and the traffic's going to take you 3 hours to get to work. I stay away from all of that stuff and I just focus on positivity. So I'll watch a lot of impact theory. I'll watch Gary Vee going mental for a little bit, you know, ranting on about stuff, and make sure I start with just positive energy so that by the time I'm ready to start work, it's like go time. You're ready to explode. Man,
love it. Love it. You know, I heard something the other day, brother. By the way, such powerful practices, man, and absolutely love it. Totally agree with all of them. I heard something the other day just on that topic of people who watch the news and flood their mind with all that toxic stuff first thing in the morning. Well, people just who watch the news in general tend to see the world less realistic than it actually is.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Isn't that interesting? Because, and man, I remember when I worked in hospitals, and I saw like miracle after miracle take place in those places. Just the most incredible surgeries, like life-saving, the most amazing stuff. And then I'd pick up the newspaper and you wouldn't hear a single thing about it, but you'd hear about, yes, like you said, some stupid thing. Well, it's not stupid, I shouldn't say that, but it's one side. It's one side. And if people are just focusing on that, they begin to see the world as this doom and gloom place. Yeah. Man. And so you're so right in the way you start your morning, dude. It's gold.
Yeah.
It's gold.
Imagine if those newspapers and those TV shows and all of those media outlets focused on a bunch of positive things that happened the previous day or that night, and they focused on a bunch of positivity, like they went into the hospitals, we saved 17 lives today, we've cured these people of these amount of diseases, there's all these people doing this for charity over here, we've saved, you know, there's charities giving water to, you know, African children, or, you know, building houses or whatever, and they focused on that, people's positivity would increase significantly.
Yeah.
It's like, even I was saying to my girlfriend the other night, we were watching, it was like Sunday night, and there was that Sunday night show. Every story, there was 3 stories that were just, they couldn't have been more negative. And I know they were shining light on particular things, but I go, look at how this is programming people to start their week. If they're sitting down on a Sunday night and they've just absorbed these 3 incredibly depressing stories, and then you're programmed negatively for the whole week. And then you get up and you watch the news the next day, and then you pick up the newspaper and it's like, finance is down, this is down, house mortgages are increasing, the banks are doing this, politicians are rolling you here, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, you lose hope completely because it's just so negative.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're just seeing one side of, you know, such a big picture. And dude, so all power to you, man, for being in control and starting your day, because, you know, stuff is going to come across your path, you know, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try and protect yourself. And so having those boundaries in place is just, it's crucial. And everyone needs to, I think these practices of these rituals where you're actually safeguarding your mind and steering your mind are becoming more important than ever before, because, man, we're getting inundated with information. And if you're not standing guard at the door of your mind, man, it's just getting flooded. It's going to be filled with something, and you can either choose what that is or just leave it. And you know, you can't point the finger one day when you end up in a place you don't want. Ultimately, it's up to every single one of us. So
yeah, it's so true.
Love it. You know, man, my podcast is called the Thoughts on Purpose podcast, and that's all around, obviously, deliberate thinking, and also connecting with awesome people who have gone after what they believe is their purpose in life.
Yeah.
Do you believe, and I ask this to all my guests, but, you know, based on what you do, you've done a lot of work. Would you say that you believe everyone has a purpose on earth?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, I definitely think they do. I think so many people have so much they can give. They're put here for a reason. I don't care what people say. I think everyone is. Yeah. They're definitely, like, they don't realize that they can touch so many people's lives and they can inject so much positivity. And I think everyone has a purpose, but it kills me that a lot of people don't tap into that, or they ignore it, or they're afraid of pursuing it because of what other people think. And I think so many people operate on what are other people going to think. And I can't do that because that's wrong, or society says this is right, or, you know, so they end up doing things, they end up in jobs they probably don't like, they end up pursuing uni courses they have no interest in, because then they can turn around and say, I'm studying this course, and they deviate from their purpose, they deviate from what they want to do and what they want to pursue. But I feel like everyone has a purpose, and everyone has a lot that they can give to the world. 100%. And I just think a lot of people don't tap into that.
Yeah, great answer, man. Great answer. Like, I always bring it back to nature doesn't produce things it doesn't need. And
it's true.
Yeah. And so if you're here, you're needed. And that's as easy as it is in a nutshell. And I just, and to the degree you have an impact, it's, you know, it's like yourself. You could have stayed as a Sparky, and I'm sure you would have done well. You would have had things you like, but, man, you know, like Tony Robbins says it, man, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
Yeah.
And, you know, you would have been successful. You know, you're a hard worker, man. You care for people. You're disciplined. You would have done really well, but you wouldn't have been fulfilled. And so, you know, you get to the end of your life, look back, you're like, why didn't I? And so, man,
that's what I think a lot about. And I know some people have told me it's not positive motivation, but I do think, like, if I am lucky enough to live till old age, and I always tell people I'm still going to be 100 and lifting weights, so that's my plan.
I believe it, man. I believe it.
That's my plan. But I don't want to look back and have regret, like I could have done more, or I should have pursued that, or I should have. And that's what got me out of the job I was in, because I was like, am I going to look back and just regret not giving it a go? Like, you'll never look back. You can try and fail, but at least you've given it a go.
Yeah, man.
Like, my biggest motivation is you don't want to look back and regret. Like, for me, regret is probably my biggest fear, and probably one of the things that drives me the hardest is I don't want to regret anything. So yeah, that a lot of people have told me, oh, that's not a good motivator. You shouldn't operate that way. But I'm like, yeah, but for me it works. And it's made me do things and pick up the phone and bust down office doors when I would never have done that before, or if I was conservative, or, you know, so I don't want to regret anything.
Yeah, man.
Regret not trying, you know.
100%. Dude, I think it's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If it causes you to live more fully, dude, it's the reality. We're not going to be here forever. And
Yeah.
it's something we can all tap into. It's not negative. It's actual truth. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of, it's kind of wishy-washy thinking out there with like, don't focus on the negative. Death is negative. No, it's not. It's actually the greatest motivator. And it can be the greatest motivator in a relationship to treat your partner, you know, as they deserve, because they're only living one life. You're only living one life. And together you are sharing this incredible journey you've got here together. And, you know, it can be relationships, business, whatever. But man, so I think what you're doing is so powerful. And I know so many successful people who actually tap into that. So it's a great time, man.
Yeah, it is a great driver.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Tony Robbins, like his books have taught me a lot as well about like neuro pathways and like why we believe things we believe. And, you know, what Kerwin Ray says, you are a product of all of the stories you've been told, what you've learnt. Like schooling for me was a massive thing that that affected my confidence and my self-belief and what I thought I could achieve. And yeah, like reading a lot of, watching a lot of Tony Robbins' videos and reading his books has like been massive for me as well. About like rewiring the way you think and how powerful that is and what you can achieve when you do that. It's incredible.
100%, man. And so just out of curiosity, you just mentioned something there about your schooling. So what did you have to rewire there? Can I tap into that a little bit?
Yeah, well, when I was in school, I was sort of like, when I compare my my schooling years to like, say, someone that went to a private school, they were taught in a completely different way. And whether that's because the schools wanted results or whatever, but school for me was like, I had a lot of teachers that would get frustrated. I'm a person, I've got a bit of OCD. So I like to clarify things. I need to make sure I'm doing it the right way. If there's a formula, I need to make sure I'm following that formula properly. So for me, I'd always just want to be like, you know, for example, like in maths class, I wasn't the best at that. And it wasn't that I couldn't do it. It was that the teachers wouldn't teach me in the way that I needed to absorb information. And once I got into year 9, I had a teacher that's like, you're more than capable of maths. You just haven't been taught right. Now sit down. He's like, this is the way you break it down. It's simple. He's like, you know, and taught me a completely different way. And in year 9, I can tell you right there, that was a massive stepping stone for me, because I was like, oh yeah, you can do it. It's not impossible. It's just the way you break things down. And it's just a process. And yeah, in school, I had a lot of teachers that they were very negative and they didn't have time for the students and they were frustrated and they were probably over it. And I don't blame them, because high school students can be horrible and very testing. But from once I left school and then I was, you know, went into the workplace, I was like, oh, right, some of those things don't necessarily matter. It's about your interpersonal skills and being strategic, and not everyone likes you. They're not like your parents or your family or your friends. And you have to learn to navigate different personality types and understand that everyone's different and they're going through some stuff and navigating that as well, and learning to adapt to your environment. And yeah, I learned a lot after year 12 when I was like 18, 19 and I left school. That was like becoming streetwise, you know?
Yeah. Wow. That's cool, man. So you've got this really big thing. I'm not sure if you realize you keep talking about, but it's more or less culture. You seem to have a very big thing on culture. You've spoken about it in school. You've spoken about it in your trade. Yeah. How has that all affected you now creating your own culture? Because do you have, like, you outsource your workers, or how does that work?
Yeah. So some of the workers are outsourced and some of them are in-house.
Okay.
And I can tell you right now, like dealing with, there's so many different personality types in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
So it's very, very challenging, and you've got to deal with everyone in a completely different way. But I feel like it's about, like, my culture. I want to motivate people. I want people to look at work positively, and I want them to believe that they can, because when you motivate people and you inject positivity into them, and that's not just by like going, you can do it, blah, 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 you can this and that, finding out how they operate and how they work and how they process things, and then tapping into that and allowing them to to learn and do it their own way, and not just like trade was like, just get in there and pull the cables. It's not that hard. And you're like, there's a giant concrete wall. We can't get through. Just do it. You know, it was just so sharp, and just do it. And there were a lot of the foremen I worked for were just completely unreasonable. It's like, and that didn't work. And no one that worked under them was motivated. No one wanted to go out of their way. And then I worked with other foremen where they were reasonable, and I saw how much people went out of their way to help them. They would stay back till midnight to work on an office fit out or whatever. And then I've also seen with other businesses, because I'm very lucky to be stocking a lot of big stores, I go into their offices and see their culture and identify what makes this store or this business better than the other. And it's always in the office culture and how everyone engages and interacts, and how they're motivated and whether they feel valued or not. And I think the biggest thing for everyone is whether they feel valued, and whether they feel like that their boss has trust and belief in them, or their team has belief in them. So culture for me is massive, because I feel like it has an impact on whether you succeed or fail. And whether you progress quickly or slowly, or you know. So for me, it's about everyone's different. Everyone works differently. Everyone processes information in different ways, and it's about motivating them in their own way, and focusing on what, because my thing is, because I was focused financially as well. Like I was like, you know, if I give this, you know, maybe if I just tell them I'll pay them more, or, you know, do this and I'll give you a financial bonus, do this and, you know, do you want more money? Or some people would just be like, it didn't work for them. They want it to be valued as a person. They wanted me to turn around and say, hey, what you're doing is epic. You know, you're doing a great job. I can't believe you got that over the top, like over the line so quickly. You know, they just want it to be sort of valued as a person and their skills. And so that was a massive learning thing for me, because I was like, I thought people were just, they went to work and they were financially focused and that's what motivated them. But sometimes it's not. And sometimes people just want to be valued as a person. And there's I could go on for ages about this, but I love it. If you don't tap into like everyone's personalities, and it's hard to create a positive culture because everyone's different. But I think with management, the worst thing you can do is just constantly pick out what people are doing wrong or how they could be better. And that's in a lot of workplaces. It's like, you're doing this wrong. You could do that better. You didn't do that fast enough. We need this from you. We need that from you, you know, and it's just sort of like, it's a grinding culture, and it doesn't work. I've seen it. It doesn't work. So I'm trying to stay away from that.
It's so exciting to know that, you know, your upcoming company that just is continually growing, and you're creating this culture as well. And man, I'm just so excited to see you continue to rise, like moving into the future. Because I know you're going big places, brother. You'll be on that yacht before you know it, man. You own the yacht.
That is a goal, but it's not the end goal.
It's not the driver, no. That's it.
Yeah. It's definitely, I want to be able to do that, but there's no point having that yacht if I want to be on that yacht with my team, partying, popping bottles with my team, my friends. I don't want to be on that yacht on my own. There's nothing good that comes of that. You want to be celebrating with everyone. I want friends around the world. I want to connect with people everywhere and do business with them. And you don't want to be on that yacht alone, you know? You want to touch as many people as, like, bring out the positivity in as many people as possible, I think. That's
man. Yeah, that's so good. Don't be on the yacht alone. Good.
Yeah, never want to be on the yacht alone.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So for any aspiring entrepreneurs who are watching this, man, people who have a business idea or a dream that they want to go after, what advice do you have like one piece of advice that you have that you wish you'd known starting out?
I think it's definitely work on yourself, like work on what motivates you, like what you think you're good at, know your strengths and weaknesses, and be realistic with yourself about what you can improve on. Like there's no problem with recognizing what you're good at and what you're bad at, and working on what you're bad at or working on your weaknesses. It just makes you a better person, makes you a better leader, and it just gears you up to be more productive and happier. Like for me, it's just made me happier, recognizing, oh, okay, I'm not the best at that, but I'd love to learn about it. Or, you know, I think self-development's massive. The other thing is, what else? I think that for me is, it's know yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's like, in those seminars we've been to where people, they get up and they're like, my business was failing. And then I realized it was me that was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're doing all the right things, and it comes down to their leadership, or it comes down to their time management, or it comes down to, it's just knowing what you're good at and what you're bad at, and improving on those things. Like, I know Gary Vee always says, disregard what you're bad at and focus on what you're good at. That's great. But when you're in startup phase, you have to be good at everything, or you have to be across everything. So if you're bad at something, you need to improve on it pretty quickly, because things will go downhill fast if you're not across everything, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's knowing yourself. That's the most important.
100%. I totally agree with that, brother. So what's the next level for you, Zane? So we obviously, again, you're looking to upgrade your office space and everything, but what's the next level for you? What would be the ultimate outcome for this year for you?
This year for me is about, like, obviously expanding the online reach that we've got. Like, I want to be selling online to more countries. I want to be stocking more retailers in the US and the UK. Mm-hmm. So for me, my focus is, like, business-wise, is tapping into those markets a lot more. So we've got some deals sort of pending with some overseas international stores that I'd like to lock down. I'd like to make them a priority. So that for me is the biggest thing this year, is just closing those deals and starting business with them. Mm-hmm. But it's also, this year for me is also about the balance between personal life and business life as well. Like, because like even this week, it's been also consuming, and and the one thing I'd like to point out as well is to people, they always assume when you get bigger, it's easier. When I make this amount of money, I'm going to be popping. It's going to be so good. Mm. But the thing you have to realize is, as you scale, everything else has to scale with the business. So, like, example, we've hit a thing where, like, hit a spot now where the office isn't big enough, the warehouse isn't big enough, the systems we've got in place now are not as efficient. So we've got to upgrade those. Mm-hmm. And normally when you scale, you have to invest more financially into the business as well. So if you've got the cash, you have to put it up. If you don't have it, you'll have to find it. So I think you need to be realistic about that as well. It's like, don't be unhappy if it's taking you a little bit longer, because you're normally doing things in a much more calculated and balanced way. Sometimes hopping and going huge isn't the best thing, because there's a lot of moving parts, and when you scale, there's a lot that has to scale with it. So
exciting things to come, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely crushing it. And so before I ask the last few questions, brother, where is the best place for people to follow you and see your journey of creating this amazing business, and also purchase the products?
Yeah, so the brand's called Emperor Apparel, and the best way to check out the brand is emperorapparel.com. Mm-hmm. And for my stuff, the best place to follow me is Zane Marshall on Instagram. And that's basically, we've also got an Emperor Apparel Instagram as well. So you can follow the brand there. And that's pretty much all of the brand stuff, new products, behind the scenes, everything like that. And then my Instagram is more like the same thing, but it's also like the personal life as well. Mm-hmm. Random stuff I'm doing. It's got a lot of, I like to keep my Instagram like a balance between lifestyle, business, and cool stuff I'm doing. So that's the best places to find me, find the brand.
Great, man. Yeah, that's fantastic. And yeah, your Instagram is fantastic. It's always super inspiring, checking out your content. Always.
Yeah. And the other thing is, just the thing, and about Instagram as well. And that's always like, it's a highlight reel, and people need to realize that. I think Instagram's a massive thing for people, and they need to realize that it's not all polished and perfect all the time. And especially as a business owner, although I might have pretty pictures, like that is not a real depiction of my life, really. It's just the dope stuff we're doing. But I'm also going to make that more realistic, because I think people need to see the real behind the scenes,
See, that right there, man, is that beautiful humility and the genuine nature that you have, that I mentioned to begin with, and I, like, for me, I see the post and I just think you're crushing it. It's awesome. But I totally get how some people's perception might be like, well, is that your life? And I'm
Yeah.
so impressed how you are willing to show people the realness and the thing I love about your content, brother, is you've got these amazing pictures you put up, but then your comments are always a little bit tongue in cheek. So it's never like, look how good it's always like, you've got this cool new gear out, and then the comments just a little bit fun. So man, it's great. You're crushing it.
I think it's important because so many people are, it's so easy for people to look at that and feel like they're not doing as well, or they think that person's life's better, and and it's just normally not the case. So I like to keep it, there's the polished side, and then you'll see a story where it's like chaos in the office and at midnight. I think it's important to show both.
100%. So Zane, what is your favorite app? This is a nice easy question for you. What's your
favorite app? That's hard. I'd like to say Instagram's my favorite app because it's like where everything for me is. Mm-hmm. But I do have a new app that I've just downloaded, and it's called Prequel. So if you're doing Instagram content, Prequel's really good. It's got all of these different filters and you can do cool video stuff. So at the moment, that's my favorite apart from Instagram.
Excellent. That's great. So what's it called? Prequel.
Called Prequel, and it's like really good for like, especially like for what you're doing as well. Like if you're doing video, it's just a really quick way of just spicing up your videos, and you can cut stuff together. So when we're doing like behind the scenes, it's really easy to cut things up quickly and put it together and put it on the social media platforms.
Brilliant. I love it, man. Now, what about your favorite music? What's your favorite type of music?
My favorite music is rap and hip hop. That's my hype music.
Excellent.
When I'm designing, it's loud, it's on. And that's where I do my best work with rap and hip hop music playing very loud.
Love it, man. I totally see that. Like, again, checking out your website before, it just, it totally got that vibe. So I can see that shining through in your designs. Beautiful, man. So Zane, like overall, you've obviously given us so much great content. So it's great to get to know you on a deeper level, brother. But like bigger picture, everything goes to plan for you. You overcome your challenges, you continue to progress. Ultimately, what does a great life mean to you?
I think it's like, it's hard because I'm like so consumed in this process at the moment. And I was like, I lost track of what does a good life look at? Like I have a lot of people asking me that, and my mates are like, you work so hard, what are you working for? And I think for me, like a good life would be connecting with as many people as possible. Yeah. Like for me, of all different interests, all different jobs, all different parts of the world, and just learning as much as I can about different cultures and different people. And I think my main thing I want to do is inspire people as much as I can for them to reach their potential or try and do more. Because I know everyone's capable of it. So for me, if I can inspire, as many people as I can through my business journey and documenting that and being as real as possible. And, my favorite thing is when people come up and they say that video made me do this, or that video motivated me to do that. That's what I want to do. That's what brings me the most happiness. And I've realized that lately, it's like money is brilliant and it helps you and allows you to do so much. But it's like someone coming up to you and going, oh, I dig your brand, or I love that video, or oh, even just that picture made me want to do that. That's like so much more rewarding. Like when you feel like you've motivated someone, or they're going to try something new or try harder because of something you've done or something you've put up or something you've documented. So for me, it's like connecting with as many people as possible, inspiring as many people as possible, and taking lots of risks.
Love it, man. Love it. And not being on the yacht alone.
And definitely don't want to be on that yacht alone. I want you on it. I want everyone on it. I want it in Spain, and we're all going to pop bottles and eat lots of food and jump off it and go swimming.
Sounds amazing, man. I'll be there. I'll definitely lock that one in. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for your time today. Thanks so much for your time today, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate the way you show up. Guys, definitely check out Zane's content. Definitely check out his amazing brand, Emperor Apparel. I definitely need to get amongst it more. Man, thank you
I'm
so
going
much.
to send you a package. We need to make sure you kit it out.
Oh man, that would be gold. I would really appreciate that. So would my wife. She's sick of my
She will
clothes.
appreciate it. You'll be rolling around town looking fresh, I promise.
Oh man, you legend. All right, well, thank you so much for your time today, brother.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it, mate. Always great to talk.